This is episode 185-ish of The Lab. I'm Brad Barton.
I'm Phil Barton.
This is not what we planned at all, and there might be links on the show page this time, and you can find those, if they exist, by visiting thelabwithbrad.com.
You always have links. I have faith in you.
What's this episode about, Phil?
Rocks. We've
Rocks.
been talking about rocks. There's so much unsaid.
That's it in a nutshell. We were on the porch, and we kept talking about the things that we didn't get to squeeze into the last couple of episodes. And Phil said, why don't we do the next episode right now? Okay, so here we are with things about rocks.
Like nice things.
Nice. Oh, nice is a metamorphic rock. Yeah, we barely covered metamorphic rocks.
It doesn't take much to make one. I mean,
No,
you take it.
Take a rock, squish, and heat. Oh, by the way, high pressure with relatively low temperatures, that's totally a thing.
That's neat. I don't know, because I thought pressure equals heat.
Well,
right?
Yes, Boyle's Law and all. Most of the time, so some of the metamorphosis is going on in the crust that's diving down underneath the other plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting hotter and more pressure as it dives into the mantle. But at the same time, you're getting wrinkles pushed up, squished together, the mountain building part.
Ah, yes.
That gives you increased pressure without as much increased temperature.
Okay, that makes sense.
Especially when it happens on the ocean floor and you got the ocean there as a nice big fat heat sink.
This is why geothermic heating and or cooling works, because the ground doesn't like to change temperature as much.
Actually, if you go down into the crust, past a certain point, it starts to get warmer and warmer the further down you go.
Yes.
Remember the bucket of blood? It was a little casino in a town in Montana, Virginia City.
Okay.
Which is not a city. It's a little town and a tourist trap. The Comstock lode was there. Big fat silver mine.
Ah. So,
and then their dinky little the bucket of blood. It was a great place. Some of the things you could win on the slot machines included guns and raw meat.
Where'd you say this was again?
Virginia City.
Yeah. What state?
It was either Montana or Dakota or possibly Nevada.
Okay.
Did I say Nirvana? I meant Nevada.
Nevada. I'm betting on Montana, because if guns are a prize, that's very Montana-ish.
Yeah, you know what? The Montanians would not be offended by that characterization.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense to me.
Got a gun right now.
Yeah, so they had a little dinky little museum there, and they were showing the 1800s-esque era mining techniques. And they'd gotten down, some ridiculous amount of distance below the surface. And so they were sending ore carts up, right, with ore, and they're sending them back down with ice.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, to keep everybody alive.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I saw it was the equivalent of Dirty Jobs, except it was a variety show.
11:12 p.m.
I don't remember what they were mining, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I just took this is an unplanned episode. I had to squeeze in a time check just then, so that at some point we'll stop talking.
Right. I can't imagine the amount of editing if we just go 3-hour track.
Right. Moving on.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
back to sedimentary. No, metamorphic.
Metamorphic
Rock. So
squish.
Getting squished, but it actually goes through a whole bunch of different stages depending upon how squished it's getting and how hot it's getting.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is mica. You remember mica?
I do.
It's just this flat shiny stuff that you can
Flake.
peel apart that flakes.
It's like the same width as your fingernail, and yeah, it's really hard not to flake it off. I mean,
Yeah, it's like bubble wrap,
never,
right?
I would never be able to own a piece for longer than, say, a year. Look at this.
Mica is a type of, and I'm going to spell this rather than say it, SCHIT.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say that either.
I'm not sure how to say that, but that's that kind of rock. If that gets squished and heated some more, you end up with gneiss.
Nice.
GNEISS.
SS. Yeah.
Is it EI or IE? It's nice.
What?
I thought articles I'd read about it were saying that that's a metamorphic form of sedimentary rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sand, silt, mud, whatever got squished into rock, and then later it got metamorphosed into gneiss. But
Right.
when I looked it up, it said it could come from igneous rock too, so you can go straight from hardened lava into that.
When I first ran into it, it was granite, igneous, that was getting squished into gneiss. So yeah, anything. Anything can be nice.
Take that back.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
What else haven't we covered that we should have covered about rocks?
That we should have covered, or that we just, diamond. Where the hell does diamond come from? That's a metamorphic, isn't it?
I don't know.
I keep hearing coal. You take a big chunk of coal and squish it. It'll turn into diamond.
I know you can get graphite from coal, given enough pressure, heat, and time. Big difference between anthracite and graphite, by the way. I meant to mention this once upon a time. Anthracite is still hydrocarbons.
Oh, the chemical different. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. There's still hydrogens all over those carbons, and chains and such. Graphite, it's mostly carbon.
Okay.
The reason I say mostly is because you very rarely get a pure, large chunk of something entirely pure. There's always stuff mixed in with it or chemically bonded to it.
Gotcha.
But graphite, mostly carbon. One of two crystal forms that I know of. There might be others. This forms in like hexagonal sheets. And the other major crystal form is actually the diamond.
There we go. So that's...
Ooh, you want to talk about glass? You want to talk about volcanic glass and glass in general? Please say yes.
Yes, very much so. I understand a lightning strike on sand can make, or can glass.
Yeah, right up until this very second, I used to know what those were called.
When it happens? Yeah.
Yeah, or the leftover. I guess it's a mineral. The leftover. No, it's not. It's a glass. Right? Minerals have to be crystal, right?
Sure.
Glass has no crystal form. It's amorphous.
Ooh. It's all ambiguous.
And lots of materials count as glasses other than the glass we're used to. You can get glass metals. You have to cool the metal really quickly to do that.
Can you see through it? I assume you can't.
I have no idea. Thanks for asking.
It's a mystery. Okay. Well, cool.
So what makes it a glass? Well, it's amorphous. No crystals formed. And it exhibits a glass transition.
Well, what is that?
Yeah, what is... I'm glad you asked that question.
I'm here for you.
Glass transition. It goes from solid to sort of rubbery.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's not an abrupt transition, but it becomes more and more sort of rubbery and stretchy, and keep heating it, it'll turn back into a liquid.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of squeezing and stuff going on. Yeah, you were talking about the horizontal first rule, right?
Yes.
As far as
sedimentary
or even layers of volcanic ash, it's probably laid down flat. But in this state, everything has been twisted and shoved, and it's like vertical and upside down. And
But if it's a sedimentary rock, you see where it laid in the first place. And that's why you end up with evidence that our land is wrinkled and or weathered and fallen over or
They actually
yeah.
have to look for particular kinds of formations, which they call, cleverly enough, right way up formations.
Oh, yeah. Because, the time periods, if you're smart enough to know, would tell you which, right way up.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Actually, that's one way they do it, is looking for reference fossils. They're like, this critter was alive right about then. This critter was not. Another thing they look for are preserved ripple patterns.
Ooh, neat.
Because you can figure out a right way up from that. What else was I going to talk about? Help me out here, man.
I don't know.
Something to do with rocks.
Grandpa used to mine pink quartz.
Good.
Quartz is not very valuable. Neither are agates, come to think of it. I mean, yeah. Sort of depends. I went to a rock show once, right?
Right.
And they had what was called scene stones, where they'd take a rock and they'd slice it up. Just because you're a rock hunter, that's what you do. I've got this thing. Let's slice it up and see what it does. And some of them would look like paintings. And all of a sudden they became valuable.
You
know? And then I got to go through the bins where it was 5 rocks for $1. Do my best to find something, equivalent. Something that looked like, what I found was cloudy quartz, but in there it kind of looked like flowers. Not enough that, it was in the bin, 10 for $1 or 5 for $1 or whatever it was.
Well,
but it was pretty. Scene stones, if I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they call them.
No, we were climbing around on some rocks at a place called La Push.
Ah, yes.
And I'm relatively convinced that stuff is chert. Right?
Brittle. Very brittle.
Mind you, it's speaking of that horizontal rule, this is the cleavage plane was vertical. I'm relatively certain it didn't form that way originally. And it's just sticking up out of the sand, and you could grab a chunk of it with your fingers and peel it off the rest of the rock.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd have this little flake of sharp-edged stone.
So this is a terrible idea, or climbing that.
We're idea. Fine. We all made it.
Almost died. Remember Paul? Yeah, I climbed up there. I slid about 5 feet, and I stopped. And I remember Paul's reaction. He's like, "What am I going to tell the parents?"
Yeah. He slid about 5 feet and stopped, which is no big deal if you're only 5 feet above the ground. I'm not sure how high you were up, but it was over jagged bits and horrible foaming, crashing waves.
Terrible things were going to happen. Yeah.
Do you think human activity counts as bioerosion?
Heck yeah, we do so much of it.
Okay, so think of diamonds. We were talking about those earlier.
Yeah.
Some, extraterrestrial critter, a new intelligent species that rises long after humanity is either entirely dead or elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They find these diamonds, carbon crystals. And in this particular age, there was a lot of erosion. In fact, it looks like they got dug up and spread around the entire globe.
It's as if some critter suddenly stuck a value on it. I heard a story that this whole buying a diamond for your wife is just a very successful marketing campaign.
I have heard the same story.
We also we strip mine. What the heck else do we do? There's a snake ridge next to my house that is slowly slumping and falling into where we were mining rock. Nobody said one way or the other if it's the mine's fault. But even if the mine wasn't there, it might have happened. And there's cameras on it. They're just waiting for it. They thought it might go quickly.
Wells, farms, mining. You mentioned that. Construction. Do you have any more rock stuff? I know as soon as we shut this down, I'm going to think of like 5 other things I wanted to say.
I know, right? Processing. You go to Palouse Falls, right?
Right.
In Washington State. And basically a river comes pouring down into this huge basin. But what you can see is 5, 6 stories worth of this basalt. but you can also see these layers. Like you can see the flow happen at least 4 or 5 times because, yeah, flow of basalt, and then there's a ring of something. And I stuck my fingers in there, and I can't tell if it's the river that got into
like
that
in
crack.
one of the seams between the basalts.
Yes. So it's either the river dug into there and made the seam and deposited a bunch of stuff, or that stuff, the silt, crazy. You pull it out, it feels kind of like a mat.
Oh, neat!
And then
you
can
pull
break
it out
a bit, yeah. And then it'll break up in your fingers. So either the river dug in there and left behind a bunch of stuff, or
well, when I was reading about those flood basalt eruptions that happen your neck of the woods, it mentioned that repeated floods, right? It did cross my mind. Like, how do they know it's repeated? Well, apparently they looked at it. I didn't know you could get the silt out of there, though, between the cracks.
I tried to talk to a geologist that's going to the same school as mine, and described it for him, and he's just like, huh, that's interesting. And then nothing. I'm like, you're supposed to give me all this information, be like, oh yeah, that's this. I don't like him anymore. We don't talk.
All right. I got nothing. I think we should find some sort of coherent ending and end.
I got
nothing. Hi, I'm Brad Barton. I used to have a show called The Lab.
Oh, wait. You were talking about concrete. That's something we make, right?
Concrete, yes. They put lime, or the Romans in particular, made it by mixing mud, volcanic ash, and lime.
Huh.
I can't remember which hydroxide it is. It's one of those hydroxides. You actually can make it by burning limestone.
Neat trick.
Yeah, you burn it down, you get this slake lime, which is really nasty, and then you mix that with water to get lime, which is slightly nasty.
It'll eat through your boots.
Yeah, not as nasty as before you added the water.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you mix it in with the other stuff, there's chemical reactions going on. It actually builds polymer chains of molecules to cement or to hold all those chunks of sediment together.
So there's kind of a rock we make, and we love cement.
Oh yeah.
It is everywhere. We're sitting on it right now. So is my apartment.
Your apartment?
Most buildings. I can't think of a building that doesn't use cement as its foundation.
Yeah, other term, the biogenic minerals, or I guess they're not minerals. Biogenic rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does concrete count as that?
Critters made it.
Because it's not there if we don't do it, but on the other hand, it's not like a shell, or even what termites do. We didn't like chew it up and then barf it back out to make our house.
It is in no way oozing out of our body.
Unless something has gone horribly wrong.
I don't know. But there's I don't know. What did you say that was?
I may be making up this term. Biogenic?
Made by life.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Yeah. Rocks weren't as interesting until life came around.
Rocks. Actually, one of the documentaries I read done by Nova, Life's Rocky Start. Clever title. Guy was talking about various phases the planet went through, and once life showed up, especially once life got oxygen. Oh yeah, stromatolites.
Okay.
You know what I forgot to mention? In the last episode, we were talking about America sitting there with this big flood basin.
Mm-hmm. Just wait.
And we got limestone going on in there that life did not make. What we do have are stromatolites.
Okay.
These are, I hear them described as looking kind of like a head of cabbage.
Interesting.
These are deposits of material left behind by cyanobacteria, living in tiny little colonies. And so way back then, this is a time period when there was like 5% oxygen. compared to 21% today. But the cyanobacteria were there, and they were making oxygen, doing their thing.
Slowly, or what do you call that?
Terraforming?
Terraforming.
That term means making like the Earth. This was the Earth, and has always been like the Earth, in that it's the Earth. No, I'm sorry, I'm just being a jerk. Just to get a laugh out of you, but
it worked.
Anyway, I think that's about enough rock trivia, and we can probably move on to more coherent episodes, which we will do next time. See you then.
Bye.